You've just suffered your third power cut in as many days and you've got an itch to stitch. When you can't trust the power grid to stay on long enough for you to set up your sewing machine, you know that it's time to rethink your options. And you've got two. You can either, one, stitch all your projects by hand, nah, or two, get yourself a people-powered sewing machine. But which one should you go for? Should you go Treadle or Handcrank? I'm Ollie, this is Simply Stitchy, and that's the question that we're going to be answering today. Come on, let's find out. Let's start with Grandma. She's my Singer 27 treadle from 1912. One of the great things about treadles is you actually power them with your feet. There's the treadle pedal on the floor there, and that big round wheel is the band wheel, and that's where all the power comes from to actually work your treadle. The power is converted from that big wheel at the bottom to the machine at the top. And another great thing with treadles is they come with their own special table, which also has a nice big extension table for the larger projects. And you also get all that storage space. Once you get a treadle going, then you don't really have to move your foot that fast to get this going to top speed, and that's all thanks to the size of this wheel under the table. Another great thing about treadles is they tend to be full-sized machines, which means they're better able to cope with the larger projects because they've just got so much more sewing space. And then there's the fact that you power a treadle with your feet, which means you have two hands to guide the fabric. Now let's take a look at a hand crank. This is the Singer 128K from 1920. And it's actually very similar to Grandma. It's actually part of the same family. It's a vibrating shuttle. If you want to know more about Singer's vibrating shuttle machines, I've got a video on my channel at the moment called Demystifying Singer's Vibrating Shuttles, and that'll tell you how you can tell the difference between a Singer 27, for instance, and this Singer 128. Now, being a hand crank, obviously, to work it, you turn the hand crank. You literally crank it by hand. Now, the good thing about being able to turn the sewing machine by hand like this is you have a better control over the speed. With this particular machine, you can literally go at a speed of one stitch at a time, or you can go a little bit faster. The main drawback with it is the speed's limited to how fast you can turn the wheel, which that's about as fast as I can turn this one over. They're also fantastic as a temporary sewing machine. This is one that you'd set up when and as you needed it. It's designed to be portable. It comes in its own little case, and it's got a bentwood lid to go over the top. So what you do is you get this out when you want to do a bit of sewing and then put it away. You know, you'd work with this one on the kitchen table, for instance. This is what's called a 3/4 size machine, which means it's smaller than Grandma. It doesn't weigh any less, however. It's still as heavy, but she's a lot smaller, and that can be a little bit of a disadvantage because the space from the pillar to the needle is smaller on this 128 than it is on Grandma, so you don't get the same sewing expanse, and you also don't, oops, need to fix that, you also don't get the sewing extension table to give you extra space on the other side of the needle. Now, what all of that means is that this Singer 128 isn't as good at tackling larger projects than the Singer 27 is, simply because it's so much smaller. That's about the closest that I can get the two machines together to show you the difference in the sizes between the two. And the other thing is, if you've got a project that isn't necessarily too big for the sewing machine, but there's just a lot of stitching on it, the more you turn the wheel in a day, the more you're going to feel it all the way up here. The choice between a treadle or a hand crank at the end of the day is entirely up to you. It depends on what you're sewing and what your sewing needs are. If you do a lot of large projects and there's a lot of straight stitching where you can really put your foot on the welly pedal, as it were, then you're probably looking at getting a treadle. If you do a lot of precision sewing, like piecing in quilting for instance, or top stitching, and you need control of that speed where you need to really slow it down, you're probably looking for a hand crank. Another thing that might possibly make a difference is what kind of sewing machine is available in your area. In the UK, for instance, hand cranks that haven't been converted to electric even are 10 a penny. They're relatively easy to come by, whereas hand cranks in the US got converted into electric. Now if you're in the market for a hand crank and you want to know if it's easy to convert it back to a hand crank if you find that it's got an electric motor on it, what you want to be doing is you want to be looking at this hand wheel. On this one, it's spoked, which means this started life as a hand crank. If you find one out in the wilds with an electric motor attached and a spoked hand wheel, the chances are that machine started out as a hand crank. If it has a smaller wheel, which is solid, it doesn't have those spokes, then the chances are it's always been electric, and those are going to be a little bit harder to convert into a hand wheel. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and why not check out some of the other videos I've got on the channel using these links coming up any minute now, or the ones I'll put in the description box below for you. And why not consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that little bell so that YouTube can send you a notification when I upload another video. Whatever video you do go and check out next, hope to see you back for the next one, and in the meantime, whatever you're sewing it with, embrace your creativity and have fun. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.